What's up, my comic comrades? With the Hulk villain, the leader, making his full MCU debut in Captain America Brave New World, of course we had to break down what the character is all about in the comics so you could better understand him in the film and see how much they did or didn't change him in the MCU. The crazy thing is they teased the leader back in the Incredible Hulk movie, which was the second MCU film. So he was teased at the very beginning of the MCU, and now 15 years later, they're finally getting around to fully introducing him. And I gotta tell you, he's got a pretty significant role in the film. Without giving too much away, he's very important to the movie. I'm just curious to see what fans' takeaway will be with this interpretation of the character. Either way, he's one of Hulk's biggest villains, so let's see what he's all about in the comics. Samuel Stearns, aka the leader, first appeared in Tales to Astonish issue 62 in 1964. He was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. However, we only see him in one panel of the issue, and his face is covered by a scientific helmet as he's working on his latest humanoid creation, while we see him working with the chameleon. So we didn't know what he looked like or what he was about at this point. We just knew he was called the leader, as he calls Chameleon saying, "This is the leader." It wasn't until Tales to Astonish issue 63 that we would finally see what the leader looked like under that helmet and how he came to be. On the very first page of the issue, it says, introducing the leader and his indescribable humanoid, as the leader sits and says, "At last, my mighty humanoid, leader is ready." Then on the next page, captions say, as the leader begins to remove his amazing headpiece, his thoughts travel back in time to the moment when he became the strange being he is. As he says, "I'll never forget the day it all started. It was less than a year ago. An ordinary laborer was moving a load of waste material in the subcellar of a chemical research plant. Suddenly, a 1 in a million freak accident occurred as an experimental gamma ray cylinder exploded. The trapped laborer was helplessly caught in the blast without warning, with no place to turn. For a period of almost a full minute, his entire body was bombarded by the mysterious gamma rays, one of the strongest forces known to man. Although a fraction of the dosage he received would have been enough to kill a dozen men, for some inexplicable reason, the laborer survived his uncanny ordeal. Medical science was baffled. He seemed completely unharmed, although in one way, he was different. Even after leaving their observation ward, he devoured every book he could find, as we see him reading saying, "I was just an unskilled laborer. I never even finished high school, but now, all of a sudden, my brain hungers for learning, for knowledge." Captions continue to say he studied like a possessed man, and he remembered everything he read. His mind absorbed knowledge like a sponge, but then one day, a new change came over him as he throws the book he's reading saying, "Everything's spinning around." He then falls to the floor with a pounding headache, as captions say. Although he didn't know it at the time, it had taken this long for the effects of the gamma rays to finally be felt. And as he lays on the floor unconscious, the transformation took place. Then on the next page, we see Samuel slowly get up from his headache, with captions saying, "Slowly consciousness returned." Weakly, he began to lift himself from the floor, still not dreaming, not suspecting what had happened to him. It wasn't until he looked into the mirror that he knew, at which point he sees he's now green and has a massive head. He says, "I've become something more than human." In the present, we see him sitting, recalling what happened to him. He says to himself, "I am the once unskilled laborer, the man who has been transformed by the gamma rays into one of the greatest brains that ever lived. My former name is meaningless now. I choose to be known simply as the leader. With my great intelligence, I organize a vast spy ring seeking to take over the reins of government. But those who worked for me were not equal to the task. However, I created my own humanoid. He alone is worthy to serve me, for I have made him all powerful." And just like that, you have the origin of the leader. Now, right after this, the leader would test out his humanoid with the headpiece, which he designed to mentally control it. Its every move. He then tells it to get his remote control helicopter and that he will take it to its objective, which is to ambush Banner's train to steal its nuclear secrets. But when the humanoid does this, obviously Banner's Hulk comes out and starts fighting the humanoid. Ultimately, the Hulk is victorious, tackling the humanoid off the train, keeping the secrets safe. But on the second to last panel, we see the leader saying, "I've got to learn more about this one called the Hulk. In all the world, only he has the power to frustrate me. I must destroy him. My brain is a more potent weapon than his body, and it shall prove to be his undoing." Now, this set up the rivalry between the Hulk and the leader, which has become a true brains versus brawn scenario. And sometimes the leader does outsmart even the strongest there is. And to prove it, we're going to shift gears into some of the leader's key story arcs. Speaking of being outsmarted, we all know you can find pretty much anything on the internet, and that unfortunately includes things like your personal email, your home address, phone number, and even who your relatives are. And all that information is easily accessible because of data brokers who profit by selling your information to robocallers, telemarketers, spammers, and anyone else that wants to learn more about you. But now you could be the one doing the outsmarting with today's sponsor, Aura. Aura will identify data brokers that are exposing your information and automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf. They'll even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. You could use our link, aura.com/variant, to try it for free for 2 weeks and see how many data brokers are sharing your information. Aura also monitors your emails and passwords to see if they were involved in a data breach or exposed on the dark web, and then gives you recommendations on what to do. Aura's app also features a VPN, password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. Aura basically has every internet safety tool you'll ever need, all inside one app. So let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online. If you sign up now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with our link. I promise you'll be shocked at how much of your private information Aura finds exposed over those 2 weeks. Go to aura.com/variant to start your free trial. It's also linked below in the description, or scan the QR code. Alright, so the first story arc you need to know is the one we just highlighted and tails to Astonish 62 through 67, which features the leader's origin. It's a classic story that everyone getting into the character needs to check out. Again, the story shows how Samuel Stearns was blasted with gamma radiation when an experimental gamma ray cylinder exploded near him, transforming him into one of the most intelligent minds in all of the Marvel Universe. He has since gone on to use that intelligence to take control of criminal organizations and go after the Hulk. He's appeared in a number of stories over the years, but for the sake of time, we're going to focus on just a couple of the most relevant and important ones, starting with the 2010 Fall of the Hulk series. In this series, the leader is at his most dangerous as he's orchestrating a huge plan with the Intelligentsia, which is a team of the world's most brilliant villains, including the leader, Dr. Doom, and MODOK. His plan is to capture the world's most brilliant heroes such as Tony Stark, Mr. Fantastic, and more, and then unleash a wave of gamma-powered destruction and chaos. This leads into War World Hulks, where the leader's master plan behind all of it is to use a machine to transform the minds of the smartest people into Hulk bodies, if you will, with the sole purpose of making themselves the ultimate beings. You see, the leader has a vision where a mutation makes him the most dominant force on the planet, and he will stop at nothing to make sure that that happens. Now, ultimately, things don't go the leader's way as the Red Hulk turns on the leader, absorbing his gamma energy, leaving him powerless. The Red She-Hulk betrays Intelligentsia, as well as bringing down MODOK and the leader too. Now, another leader story we have to mention, of course, is his involvement in the Immortal Hulk from 2018 to 2021. The leader is absolutely terrifying and unlike we've ever seen him. In the series, the leader is able to tap into the supernatural Green Door. If you don't know what the Green Door is, it is a metaphysical gateway that connects gamma-mutated beings to a hell-like dimension known as the Below Place, aka the Dark Realm. That's ruled by the One Below All, the evil opposite of the One Above All, Marvel's God. And once the leader has tapped into this, he gains terrifying knowledge of the Gamma Realm. Because of this, he becomes a godlike figure himself, able to orchestrate all kinds of events from behind the scenes, plotting and manipulating, playing 4D chess in the Gamma Realm. The Green Door first appeared in issue 31 of the Immortal Hulk series, and once the leader gains access to it, he is able to manipulate mutated gamma beings from the shadows. The leader gains so much power because of this, he's able to control gamma souls and even influence Hulk's resurrection cycle. Wrap your brain around that. Then in Immortal Hulk issues 35 through 40, with all this newfound power, the leader is like, you know what? I'm gonna start body hopping through some gamma-powered beings. Like he full-on possessed Rick Jones and turns him into a terrifying gamma puppet. Or how about one of the most terrifying things he's ever done to Bruce, merging with Brian Banner, Bruce's abusive father, then harnessing Bruce's trauma and twisting it into a weapon against him. Basically, once the leader accesses the Green Door, his knowledge goes way beyond science and robotics and all that other scientific stuff. He now understands resurrection, death, and even the cosmic order. Again, he basically becomes a god. Now, towards the end of the series, issues 46 through 50, the leader tries to straight up absorb the One Below All, the evil counterpart of the One Above All. But he soon realizes that was an overstep. Yeah, because it doesn't work in the end. He's dragged to the Below Place, stuck there suffering a fate much worse than death itself. There you go, guys, some of the leader in story arcs throughout comics. He doesn't really have that much stuff, but some of his earlier reads and the Immortal Hulk stuff are certainly some of our favorites. So we decided to give you a rundown of that. But now let's move on to powers and abilities. The leader's primary power and ability is his superhuman intelligence. As I said, his genius level intellect was granted to him by gamma radiation, which makes him one of the smartest beings in the Marvel Universe. He is an expert in engineering, physics, and genetics. His brain is so enhanced by consuming all the information around him, he can calculate what's going to happen in the future. But his brain power doesn't stop there. His massive brain figuratively and literally also gives him the ability of mind control, meaning he can quite literally control other people's minds, and sometimes even on a huge scale. Now, given how smart he is, this means he's also extremely well versed and or an expert with technologies, so he can build all sorts of robots and advanced weapons, even devices and gamma-based technology for whatever goal he wants to achieve. The leader can even control and manipulate gamma radiation to a certain extent. This means he can use this ability to enhance his own powers or even affect others. Now, obviously the gamma radiation mainly gave him intelligence, but it also did enhance his physical durability. Nothing on par with the Hulk or Abomination, but he is still extremely durable and has longevity. As far as weaknesses for him go, since he's so smart, this often makes him overconfident. And as we know, overconfidence can be somebody's downfall, as this would cause him to underestimate everyone around him, leaving him open to certain attacks as he thinks there's no way he's not gonna win. He also doesn't have any super strength, and considering he often goes up against other gamma beings, and that's the main trait of someone affected by gamma radiation, it makes him quite vulnerable physically. But as we've seen time and time again in comics, intelligence often trumps strength. But with all that said, let's give you some leader reading recommendations. Check out A Monster in Our Midst and Tales to Astonish, issue 62 through 63, The Titan and the Torment in Incredible Hulk 115, Ghost of the Future in The Incredible Hulk 440 through 441, Fall of the Hulks and World War Hulks from 2010, and of course, the Immortal Hulk series. That should be enough to get you all started. There you have it, friends, the history of the leader, one of the most iconic Hulk villains of all time. Are you excited to see him in Captain America Brave New World? Did you already see him in the film? If so, what do you think, and how do you think it lived up to his comic book counterpart? Let us know down in the comments. But do your fellow fans a solid and try not to leak any movie spoilers. Other than that, we'll see you next time when we talk about all things comics.